please join me in welcoming the incredible Diane Vivian. Diane, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate having you here. Why don't you start by telling everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Well, I do many things. I am a marketing specialist. I am a branding guru, as you want to say. I love to brand. I'm a freelance designer. But I also am very passionate about natural health and that's why I'm so fortunate to be sitting here with you today so I can tell my story. I just love the whole idea of looking, feeling young for as long as you possibly can. You know, I feel life is a gift, and God has blessed me. He blessed me with talent so that I could express my talent through creative design. And when I started to develop some health problems about 10 years ago with my heart, He allowed a door to be opened, which totally transformed my future.
You know, I'm so glad that you said that, because a lot of people might be sitting here saying, well, why don't they have a healthy lifestyle coach or someone that specializes in nutrition, you know, talking about this segment. And I wanted to just get a little bit more raw with it. I wanted to get a little bit more personal, and I wanted to make sure that we talk to somebody that's just like you, that's just like everybody that's out there that's watching the show. You know, you had a situation in your life where you had that little check that happens where you say, okay, you either eat to live or you live to eat. You know what I mean? You either care about yourself and who you are, or you care about indulging at that particular moment. And you had that check that said, you know what, I need to care about myself. I need to care about my kids. I need to care about my family. And you made some changes in your life. So what was that moment like for you, and how easy were those changes?
Well, it was an epiphany, because I had my children late in life. So I was working very many hours with my graphics business, and I had my son at 47.
Wow.
So I had a 2-year-old running around who was, you know, very strong-willed, and I was trying to work, and I wasn't sleeping, and there were just a lot of stressors that was just bringing me down and making me go to a place that I didn't need to be going. So, you know, I'm a woman of faith. I'm going to tell you that right now. So God's going to be interjected a lot in this conversation today, because, you know, I had prayed to God one night. I said, you know, I was sitting in my computer and I was like, Lord, you know, do something. Something needs to change, because I can't keep doing this. I was just like on this road, and I didn't know where it was leading me. I just knew I wasn't where I needed to be. Well, He decided to let me have atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heart rhythm. And the first time it happened to me, it was completely devastating. I was petrified. Went to the hospital in the emergency room, ended up being in the hospital a couple days, started a relationship with a cardiologist, and that led to 4 different medications. Medications not really helping me. I mean, I really felt like I was on a slippery slope. I was miserable, because I'd kind of dabbled in natural health before that, but just sort of played at it. But when this happened, it was like, okay, I need to pay attention. I don't want to go down this slippery road of being on drugs the rest of my life, being stuck, you know, going to doctors 3 times a week. I just didn't want that lifestyle, and I knew there was another way. I knew there was. I am a believer that God puts everything on this earth to help heal us, and that food is medicine. I've learned that. I know I don't have a degree in anything. I'm not a doctor of anything. But I feel like I'm getting my degree as I go through my life, and I will get my degree the day I leave this earth. But in the process, I have learned so much, and thank God for the internet, because it just opened up my eyes to so many things that I wasn't aware of, that I was able to learn and to make choices that were different from the path that I was on, the whole drug path.
You know, it's so important that you said that, because so many people, we teach our kids, you know, you make good choices, you get good results. You make bad choices, you get bad results. And we teach our kids all about making choices. But then as we get older, we sometimes get too busy to think through those choices, too busy to take the time to do your research. Like I've heard of, you mentioned GMOs earlier. I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? I want to make good choices, but if you don't take the time to teach yourself or to educate yourself, you're not going to make those choices, or you're not going to know. Right. My mother, who I know you've met, is just turned 71, and she a year and a half ago went to the doctors and her liver enzyme levels were like 300. Now normal, like a high, like let's get this tested is 70. You know what I mean? Normal's like 35. And the doctor, they did liver biopsies, and we feared the worst. Like we were really concerned with it. Well, they've taken her off all of her medication because she was on cholesterol medication and she was on anxiety medication and she was on all these medications. They took her off all the medications. She's a healthy, thriving 71-year-old, and her liver is now normal. Imagine that, you know. So it was the things that the doctors were prescribing were actually making her sick indirectly, which is important.
Right. And I don't want to sit here and say, oh, drugs are bad, because, I mean, in this world, sometimes, a drug can save a life. I mean, I'm totally aware of that. But for me, being on the 4 medications with my heart condition and everything, and it wasn't really helping, there again, God stepped in, I believe, through my mom, and she introduced me to a whole food health drink. And I was very skeptical, I was like, oh yeah, another, moo juice, but I read the ingredients and I was impressed by them, so I decided to start drinking it. And so I started drinking it on a Tuesday, and before that I had a monitor, they were checking my heart and they were doing all these tests on me and everything. I'd been in and out of the emergency room 3 times through this problem. And I couldn't even sleep on my left side because my heart would just go out of rhythm, would just start bouncing like crazy. Well, I drank this on a Tuesday night, and the next day my heart was quiet when I got up the next day. And that made a huge impression on me. I was like, okay, there's something about this that's making sense. So over 6 months, I was able to drop 2 of the medicines. And just this past year, I dropped the 3rd, and it's one that's very hard to get off of. But I feel better. Every drug I'm off, I feel better. And it taught me the whole food way of life. And I know that there are people out there who say whole food, well, what the heck is that? Food is food. Right. Well, food is not food. Food is not created equal. And, when you go to a Whole Foods or a Fresh Market or a place like that and you see these hundreds of people in there, it's all in how the food is grown. It's how the food is processed or not processed. And I have chosen to try to find foods that have minimal to no processing. And processing means that the manufacturers take chemicals, basically, change the food to make it last longer, to make what they think makes it taste better, which is that corn syrup, the whole corn syrup thing. And, things like that essentially don't do any really benefit to your body. I've got a bowl sitting here of some fresh vegetables. You guys can't see it, but I can see it. And it just reminds me, there we go. This is my prop, my Whole Foods prop. To choose Whole Foods. And Whole Foods is, in its simple terms, is just in its purest form. And means it hasn't been altered, it hasn't been changed. It's like fruits, vegetables, organic meats. What's organic meat? Organic meat is grass-fed beef or chickens that haven't had probiotics and antibiotics. Antibiotics ingested into them. To get plumper meat. It's so fascinating. And by me choosing this lifestyle has helped me, number one, stay out of the hospital for 10 years because I never wanted to go through that again. Drinking a whole food product that has all these fruits in it, that has all the vitamins and minerals and everything that my body needs. Haven't had a flu for 10 years. People around me are getting sick and I'm not, praise God. I realize that, there's no guarantees in life, but so far so good. And, just the choices, it's a daily choice that you make.
That's important. My daughter, Rachel, was diagnosed with something called chronic constipation. And she deals with, it's kind of like urinary tract infections. It basically overflows, which causes a urinary tract infection, which means she's in pain, like at least twice a week or twice a month, consistently. And I can tell you that the doctor has looked at her and said, if it grows from the ground, eat it. If it doesn't grow from the ground, don't. And all of those things. And it's important. So that's, if an 8-year-old can grasp that, and if a doctor's telling an 8-year-old, then surely we can grasp that too and understand that. And I think one of the things that you mentioned before the show is if you look at a label and you can't read it or don't know what it is, then that probably means it's a chemical and it doesn't grow from the ground.
Right.
So what are some of the suggestions? Like if we were to go to a Whole Foods market or if we were to go to any store, What are some of the things that you have changed and implemented in your lifestyle that you do this instead of doing this?
Well, one of these are one of my don'ts. I don't eat white rice. I don't eat white bread. I don't eat regular white pasta. I eat brown rice pasta. I stay away from wheat. This is a choice for me. Some people can handle wheat, no problem. I can't. It just seems to make me blow up. And it's because wheat is not the wheat of 50 years ago. A lot of the wheats out there have been genetically modified, which means that they've changed the seed to act differently, and that is not pure food. So, when you're choosing breads, you want to make sure you're getting whole grain breads. You want to make sure that everything is whole. That's why brown rice, not only do I think it tastes better, it's just so much better for you, and it doesn't make you blow up. It doesn't make you gain weight like all the white processed foods make you, change your body.
Now, you mentioned beef and you mentioned meat. One of the things that I did when I was doing research on that is, yes, if you were to buy, organic beef and something that was healthier for you, it does cost a little bit more. But one of the interesting things that I learned is the amount of fat grams in that is so much less than if you buy the other. That personally, if I'm going to be able to enjoy what I'm eating, it's going to taste better, and I'm not going to gain as much, it's not going to have as many fat grams in it. I would rather pay double to eat healthier than not, something.
Really, anybody who wants to maintain their weight, to have more energy during the day, their plate should be 3/4 of vegetables and 1/4 meat. Because, we all need proteins, but you can get proteins from nuts and grains, and you can even get protein from some vegetables and some, and fruits and stuff. But all your vitamins and minerals are in the food. And that's one other thing I want to mention. I know there's a lot of supplements. There's a lot of companies that sell, really nice, good supplements. But truthfully, and this is not just me, this is a general statement, that our bodies absorb our nutrients best from a food product. It's just fact. And a liquid absorbs 98% to any kind of pill. So if you're looking for a supplement, look for the liquid. And if you can't get the liquid, then take the pill. But a liquid is so far absorbed into the bloodstream faster and more efficiently and more effectively.
And I think that you should talk to your doctor as well, because a lot of the supplements that are on the market can actually cause damage to your liver. And they're coming out with all these artificial supplements, and Dr. Oz or whoever, I don't know, I don't watch the show, but say, hey, go buy this, or you see a Facebook ad that says lose weight and whatever, buy this, and they're actually things that are harmful. I know Tanya in our corporate office gets very frustrated sometimes because people make claims, probably because that's what people tell them to say, and it's just that they don't know, and they make claims that in the long-term scheme of things can actually cause physical damage to your body or to your liver or your kidney or any major organ for that matter.
You want to try to avoid synthetic supplements. And, how can you tell? So that's why I'm so pleased that I know of something that I can take every day that is whole food. And I know I'm getting my vitamins, my minerals, my antioxidants.
Now, I want to talk to you about two more things before we wrap up. I know since I've started eating cleaner, probably for the last 9 months, my kids do miss Grandma's cooking a lot. They miss all the stuff that she used to make and add to it. And I know that, eating clean, they get used to it, they accept it. But how did your family adjust to it? When you made this decision for yourself, how easy was it to get the family on board?
Well, they fought a little bit of it. Usually when we're talking white rice to brown rice, they'd rather have the white rice. They said, I don't like how brown rice tastes. I'm like, well, too bad, because it's better for you. It's like, I'm the mom, and you're the kid, and I know better because I'm training you. So it's just been a matter of just introducing it to them on a regular basis. And they've heard me talk. They know my story. They see the evidence of me in my life and how eating whole foods and choosing to stay away from certain things for the most part and choose other things has impacted, my weight and, just my energy level and, everything about me. So my daughter's now 17 and then my son is 11. So, what does my son ask for as a snack? Oh, Mommy, can you cut up an apple for me, please? Can I have some grapes? They really understand the benefits of eating raw, whole foods. That's another thing real quick, just, raw. Should always have something raw every day. I know some people go all raw, which is very admirable. I personally can't do that, but raw is excellent. But to have something like salad, some kind of fresh fruit, nothing, that's just in its purest form. That is the best way to eat your food.
We've started every weekend I go fruit chopping, and every Sunday it's our chopping time, and it's really become a family activity with my daughters and myself that, oh, can I cut that? Can I help you do that? And if you take the time to make up like a bag full of chopped vegetables and a bag full of fruit, and it's something that for at least 3 days that everybody can eat off of, they will, and they'll start to buy into it. And one of the things that I do is I put on the kitchen counter every day when everybody comes home from school, I make sure that there's a bowl that can be put on the kitchen counter. So after they wash their hands, every time they walk by, that's what they're snacking on. They're grabbing it. If it's apples or if it's grapes or if it's vegetables, they'll eat it if it's sitting there and they're just kind of walking by and grabbing it versus you making them sit down and eat carrots, or something like that, which is important.
And I'm not all about being, super disciplined, like you're never having this and you're never having that. I mean, life shouldn't be like that. But I mean, if there's a basis of good eating, good whole food eating every day, then it's okay to have a little, piece of cheesecake or, indulge a little bit. It's everything in moderation. That's, that's been said for many different things, but it's true with this too. But it's making those little decisions every single day that can help give you the energy and the vibrance in your skin and how your body functions, everything.
Now, in the beginning, you started this because you experienced a health issue. For somebody that may be watching this that may know somebody that they love that is just now being faced with a health issue, I know that in your personal circumstances, your husband was faced with a life-threatening illness. How did that affect him? What changes did he make? What do you have to say about that whole experience?
Well, I can just tell you for a fact, my husband Gary was diagnosed with bile duct cancer in April of 2009. And before then, he was a man, you never got sick. You'd think the man was going to live forever. He was just so strong. So for this disease to take him over was just totally devastating to the family. But he had heard me, he sort of watched me from the outside, doing all the Whole Foods thing and, drinking my drink and, doing all these things to try to take care of myself because of my heart condition. So he was paying attention, but even though he wasn't really participating. Well, when he got the diagnosis, I said, okay, honey, now you have a choice. I said, we know what can be done and we know what we can do. So what do you want to do? And he made the decision to totally go down this path, which was meat and potatoes, fried foods, all the Taco Bells and everything, to take a total other direction, juicing fresh vegetables every day, very little meat, everything organic. And, even though, unfortunately, he was not able to survive the cancer, for the 10 months, that man had an incredible experience of life. We took 5 vacations that year. He chose to not do any traditional treatments. So he didn't lose his hair. He was a very meticulous man. Everything was perfect about him.
He was gorgeous,
yes,
don't lie.
Well, he was. I agree. But anyway, his quality of life was superb. Considering all he was dealing with the cancer, he was still able to do and go experience. He went to see a family wedding. I mean, it was an incredible year, and I'm blessed by that year for the rest of my life. I had a wonderful thought, and it just went right out of my head. So
that's okay. You're talking about your husband going to heaven, so I completely
Yes.
understand, and thank you for sharing that, because a lot of people that watched you go through that, because you've been a charter member of Woamtec, said, well, if eating healthy and juicing is something that will benefit you, then how could her husband pass away due to something so terrible? And what I think the lesson to be learned is, because he made that choice, when a lot of people that know their odds of surviving, because it was a serious form of cancer.
there was zero chance.
The odds of surviving are little.
Zero.
A lot of people would say, heck with this, and go to Taco Bell and drink as much as they can and say, whatever, I'm gone anyways. But it gave him the health, the energy, the motivation to keep moving forward, and that's awesome.
And I know, I'll never ever doubt that it helped him immensely. And the thing I did want to, I remembered it, ding. It's all about quality of life. We never know how long we're going to be on this earth. And, that's a very hard lesson I had to learn when I lost my husband. I never expected him to die at 51. But the quality of life that he was able to have, as sick as he was, the quality of life that I feel like I am able to have with this diagnosis that I was given in my heart 10 years ago, that I've been able to stay out of the doctor's office, out of the cardiologist's office. I am under the care of a doctor, but it's a holistic doctor. the things that I do, it's all about quality of life, being able to enjoy the days that we have on this earth. So I want to live until I die, whether it's next week or 50 years from now. And I feel like I've got the secret to long life, according to God's plan. I realize, it's really not in my control.
Right.
But because I am so grateful for this gift of life, I want to honor this body that He has given me to live in by eating the types of foods that He made to give to us to eat every day, and say thank you to Him by taking care of myself is a way to honor God.
That's awesome. Thank you, Diane, so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I
welcome.
really, really do. And I can totally relate to that. As you were talking, I just had a flashback that I try and run 3.5 miles at least 3 to 5 days a week now. And I was at Cranes Roost Park the other day, and I was running around, and I saw my pastor and his wife. Now, my pastor's like 71, 72, maybe even 73. They were speed walking. Talk about getting motivated. They were like 7 feet behind me, and it was like I had to run, because I'm thinking, now I've got someone behind me feeling guilty if I'm not taking care of my temple that God gave
That's
me.
right. That's right.
And they can't keep up with us. Now, Diane has an incredible prize for somebody who wants to live a high quality of life. So if what she said resonated with you, if what she said touched your heart or touched your soul, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the Woamtec Facebook page. Again, go to Woamtec or go to Facebook, type in Woamtec. It's the Facebook page that has about 1,900 people following it. Or go to Woamtec and type in Diane, or go to Facebook and type in Diane Vivian, or go to Woamtec.com and type in Diane Vivian, and let her know that you want to have the quality of life that she was referencing. And if you do, she's not only going to connect with you, but she will give the first person to connect with her a complimentary bottle of Via Viente. So thank you, Diane, again for being here. It was a pleasure to have you here. And I hope as we continue to talk and as we continue to grow, I hope that you understand that it truly is about the quality of life. You could work really super hard and you can make lots of money, but if you're not happy with the lifestyle you're living, if you're not happy with how you feel, if you don't feel great, I used to wake up every day and I used to depend on a Diet Coke. And now what's amazing is when I don't drink that Diet Coke, I feel so much better about everything that I do. I feel so much better about just living and thriving and making a difference. So we want you to do that. We want you to work hard, we want you to live hard, and we want you to play hard and love hard. And that's what Woamtec's all about.